Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever the hell you are. We are at the home of Peter Adkesson. How are you, Peter?
Hey, hi.
All right.
I'm good. I'm ready for this.
He needs a short, short introduction.
And
Sometimes you just gotta come out and
Peter-
school these old pro players. They're so good.
and Peter, as you guys know, is the original CEO of Wizards of the Coast. Were you co-founder of Magic the Gathering? Would you say?
I was co-founder of Wizard of the Coast and CEO from 1990 to 2001.
All right, and then we have some random player as usual, Brian Weissman.
I've seen a lot of me lately, I think.
Brian Weissman got top 4 at the Wizards tournament.
That's my claim to fame.
That's his claim to fame in life.
It changes
So-
from time to time.
What we're doing today is a friendly Alpha 40 match. Peter online has actually created a deck. Peter, tell us about the story of this deck real quick.
Okay, so this deck I created back in that period of time between when Magic came out in '93 and there's like a 6-month period of time where before people realized you could build decks like that. And so I built a deck and had a lot of fun playing it, and it had a lot of nostalgia value. Every once in a while I showed people like, oh wow, that's really cool. Well, around the year 2000, the deck disappeared.
Disappeared.
It disappeared. You've heard this story.
That's alarming.
Yeah, no, the deck disappeared. I was still with it. I figured, I hate to say it, but I just figured somebody probably stole it out of my desk. It was in my desk at the office or whatever, or who knows. And then 15 years went by, right? Well, about 3 years ago, my dad, I'm down visiting my dad, who's a big Magic collector. I'm down at his house in Colorado Springs, and my dad brings out this deck.
It's the same one.
No way.
It's the same deck.
His dad swiped it.
But he says, I think you're finally mature enough to have this deck back.
No kidding.
No
Really?
kidding. Yeah.
Mature.
Finally mature enough that I can have it
This is in
back.
2015. This is a guy who's like the CEO of one of the most successful gaming companies in world history. He's finally worthy of his own.
Well,
of his own deck
in all fairness, I
2015,
did, after we sold the company to Hasbro, I did kind of go through a little bit of a rock star phase.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. It's legendary.
I was enjoying life, let's say, and maybe some of my choices and friends. Well, anyway, so I think Dad, he just like, nah, Peter's he's not responsible enough to have a deck like this, so he took it away from me. But I'm just glad I earned back his trust.
There you go.
I earned my father's trust to where he
Gary, you hear
gave it
this?
back to me. And here, what am I doing? I'm showing it off on camera again. So
Peter, so did you ever remember this deck?
I remember. I
okay.
got off it. I was always sad that I'd lost this deck. I mean,
I would be
I
too.
spent a lot of time building this deck and collecting the cards and all that
Keep
stuff.
in mind, we actually don't know the contents yet.
Yeah.
We haven't actually played against this. This is a mystery.
So Peter, have you ever played with this deck on camera ever?
Never have. No, I've never played it on
So
camera.
Brian's
I
playing.
haven't played the deck, period,
Oh, you haven't?
since 2000, since I got it back. I mean, I got the deck.
Right.
I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm looking through the card. Now, I don't know, Dad. There's a couple of cards in there I didn't recognize. I think my dad.
You might have sold.
I think my dad might have taken some.
You
some
sold like a
cards
Black
and
Lotus or
replaced
two.
them. No, the Lotuses are on there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it looked like it
I'm
was down
intimidated.
some other cards.
I'm intimidated because
Okay, hold on. So Peter claims that this is you can't have a turn 1 kill
Yes,
opportunity.
you can have a turn 1 kill.
Okay, so that's possible.
Yes.
You guys know, if those of you watching my videos, you guys know what Brian's playing.
but not necessarily because I'm not playing the deck that I was using. In
but we
videos.
did tweak it to become better.
I'm using Steven's deck.
Oh.
with a few adjustments.
We made some fun adjustments.
Better in some ways, worse
All right,
than others.
so I'm gonna just set the camera up, and you guys go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Peter.
well, yeah, all right. I mean,
Let me set it up. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's get this
down. Make sure
We've
you
shuffled
get
the
it in
cards.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ante.
We're gonna play for ante, right?
So, oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Let's play.
Ante for keeps.
All right. Here we go.
Side note, guys. Whoa.
Holy mammoth.
That's a horrible
Did
card.
I ante like? Oh my god.
There you go. Now that's a worthy. That's
worthy,
worthy.
yes.
Worthy. I don't know if I can live without my time lock.
Oh my god.
Now do we draw our 7 cards?
Yes. Now we draw 7, but we need to roll. Do we have a die?
Oh yeah, we got to roll. See
Yeah.
who goes
Yeah, let me
You
do
got
that.
a 20-sider?
Well, we can do it this way. We
Let
can
me
roll Jumbo.
turn
Okay.
off the light. Where's this light at?
Black paper scissors, right around behind the scissors, right here.
And there are no mulligans too, because
Yeah, there's no mulligans.
You're
No,
changing
mulligans.
the lighting?
Mulligan.
Dark.
Just do
Mulligans had not.
just
been
do rock
invented.
paper scissors. It looks nice on
Do we
camera.
have
Yeah,
enough
right.
light?
Right here. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. 1, 2.
Wait.
Oh, you got me.
You got it.
All right.
You
Are
got
you
it.
paper and I was rock?
Yeah, here's paper.
No, it was scissors.
Oh, your scissors. Sweet. Yeah,
What were you, a
which ones?
rock with a little finger sticking out?
The truth of the matter is that I was actually on 2 rather than 3, and I hadn't thrown yet. But I'll take the win.
All right.
No, it was 3. You can't count either, huh? Okay, you better win.
All right, I expect to win.
So I got this one.
Do you?
Really?
Sure.
Wait,
Yeah,
let me
for
see
sure,
your guys'
for
hand.
sure.
Well, let me see your guys' hands before.
Okay, yes.
For sure.
Here,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's no way.
Oh
You got
my!
it?
Wait!
You got it? Good.
Wait! Hold on a sec. That is, Peter. That's what do you think in the
Now,
category?
I'm gonna count. Make sure there's still 7 cards here.
Well, you still get a draw,
Yeah,
right?
you get to draw your 8th
You
card.
get your eighth
I
card.
don't even need to draw. You
Peter.
want to sacrifice your turn? I'll skip my draw.
Peter, in this,
okay.
Peter, in terms of your deck, what is the 1 out of 10? What is the draw value of that one? What do you think? The quality of, like,
In terms
the
of
power?
percentile, yeah.
Power. That's pretty much a game over.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's game over. I think it works. I mean, what's the risk is you just don't draw. I mean, no matter how good your cards are, if they're all Moxes and Lotuses, and you don't have any
that's true.
spells.
This right here,
You're
guys,
screwed,
is an
right?
alpha
That's it.
booster pack.
All right,
I just bought.
I'll draw my 8th card.
All right. Yeah. Go
Alpha,
ahead.
a little
All right.
fitting.
All right.
Okay.
On Sapphire.
That looks familiar. Are we playing the same deck?
No snapping.
Yeah. All right. That's nice.
Ancestral Recall.
Oh, yeah.
To Peter?
Probably
Yeah,
familiar.
Right.
He's got a few of those.
You guys are.
Cast the Sapphire.
This is like a similar deck.
Probably. Cast
I
the,
think we're playing the same deck.
cast the Black Lotus.
Oh, yeah.
Cast the Black Lotus. My kill condition may be different.
Well,
Although,
I mean,
unfortunately,
what the hell is that?
Slightly spoiled. Cast Ancestral Recall.
Peter, explain to people
Yeah.
on camera. This is not alpha. What happened here? Did you just
It may have been his dad's game.
Tom walks alpha.
No, but I know, but you didn't. It's not. Some of them might not.
The
be.
card needs to be literally
Oh,
alpha.
okay, I see.
Oh, they have to literally be alpha?
It's- you're forgiven.
Okay,
You're
sorry.
forgiven.
It's
I didn't
okay.
know
I
that.
think
I
you
mean,
get some
I think of
special-
it like the cards came out in that.
You get some special
I think
privileges.
I think
Right.
we're forgiving you for one time.
All right, I'm going to cast
I'm
another
gonna start
Ancestral
over
Recall.
if you want.
You want to start?
So the grizzly bears are how you do damage.
Yeah, it's actually a
War
War
Mammoth.
Mammoth.
War
I
Mammoth.
cast
Or I mean, War
Sapphire.
Mammoth. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
Another Sapphire.
originally it wasn't grizzly bears. It was another thing.
I will sacrifice my Black Lotus for red mana.
Oh,
Look at that.
I see.
Red.
Right.
This is a joke. Now, those of you guys who've been watching this deck,
Cast the Hill
Hill
Giant.
Giant.
Okay, there you
We
go.
wanted something more creative than that,
Yeah,
but
there
unfortunately
you go.
Daniel forgot. Okay, I'm not
Right.
quite done.
okay, we're on
Right.
Cast Time Walk.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Hill Giant, what is that? 2/4? 3/3.
3/3.
Sack. Actually, I can probably wait. All right. End turn. Begin the next one. We're actually going to need a die.
So how's Richard doing these days? Have you talked to him lately?
Yeah, he's down in Portland.
Yeah, he just moved
Oh,
down
he
to Portland
moved.
to be closer to his parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll cast Ancestral Recall again.
Yeah.
People always wonder, like, I got to ask the question, do you guys ever want to create another game again or together or something?
Oh, I don't know that I'm going to publish any more games. I did a lot of publishing.
Attack for 3.
3 points.
You're at 17.
Okay,
17.
17.
I have
Okay.
Ancestral Recall.
You're
Cast
smart
more
enough to do
Time
that in
Walks.
your head.
Probably. For now.
Because the game's not going to
You
last
notice
that
how
long.
you notice how Peters is sitting here,
Yeah.
with his degenerate cards.
I know.
This is
Ancestral Recall.
this is
These-
this is
these
a
cards
lot
are
of fun
shit, man.
Peter, do you want to just grab a glass of wine? This is beach. This is bullshit.
He needs pyrokinesis. Actually, he wouldn't need pyrokinesis.
I think-
he needs contagion. He had contagion in his hand.
Oh, what would happen?
He could cast it for 0 by
Oh,
pitching
yeah.
a black card and make my Hill Giant 0 power.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
Actually,
well,
-1
it's
power.
Not without,
and that's an Ice Age, right?
That's the original
It's
Magic.
in alliances actually.
Not in the original
unfortunately.
Magic
Yeah.
cards.
So
All right,
there's
we're
no
doing-
way to interact with a creature on turn 1 when you haven't.
this
gone.
top
Yeah.
view is not acceptable anymore.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
good.
yes, my board is growing. I'm going to keep ancestraling here. I could ancestral you at some point.
Yeah, you could. That's true.
So, Peter, would you say Ancestral is the most powerful card in the game for the older Magic, in your opinion?
Most power. I mean, these are about
I'm going to
combinations
ancestral
of
you just
cards.
because it's cool. I'm going to give you something to do.
Oh, okay. You give me
Oh.
something to do. Draw 3 cards.
Let's have you do that again.
Yeah, I have an instant now.
What?
Oh, but I mean, yeah.
Alright, I'm going to ancestral you again just because it's cool.
Okay. Cool. Great. Awesome.
That's the Black Lotus.
It's cool.
Cool.
What would you just say?
Yeah, I'm gonna sort these. I'm gonna sort
Alright,
these.
I'm going to time walk.
I gotta sort my lotuses from my boxes. Well, basically all the same cards.
All right, I sacked two black lotuses.
Okay.
6 blue mana.
Right.
Oh, I have a time walk.
I like how your dad's like,
Cast
yeah,
time
you're
walk
worthy.
again.
You're worthy.
2 time walk turns and 4 mana.
Worthy to have it. Maybe
Worthy,
not worthy
yeah.
to play it because I'm not doing very well.
Cast time walk again.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have 3 time walk turns and
Peter's
2
like-
mana remaining.
Yeah.
Sack my black lotus and cast Time Twister.
Oh, there you go.
That's you too.
Then they gotta do too.
Oh, right.
Peter, you having fun yet?
Oh, yes. Yeah. This is fun.
This next turn, you'll get more ancestral recalls on you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now you could have screwed up my deck. Now it might actually not perform because I might not draw the right cards. Right?
I mean, you're gonna draw a lot.
So side note, guys, as you're watching, we're going to do some more cool videos, Q&A. Peter is actually goes to Gen Con every year. He
He goes to
he goes
Gen
there.
Con.
He's still he's kind of there.
He goes to oversee his dominion.
I've gone to Gen Con every year since 1992.
Yeah, too. If you guys also, we're going to be talking more about the good old days. Peter has a really good fireside chat. I'll put some links below their channel. It's really it's really cool. They talk about
Alright, sir.
the olden days, the good old days of Magic.
Fireside with Peter Adkesson, and what we do is we interview people who were there working on Magic during its development early years, basically the first half of the 1990s. You know, people that were there.
The people that created Homelands, best set ever.
Best set ever. Okay, I have 2 blue mana floating and 3 time walk.
I cheated. I drew 8 cards.
That's fine. You can draw more than you can draw a few extras.
Pick a random one up. No, not that one.
You did that one.
All right. Using my one of my 2 blue mana, I will ancestral recall myself.
Right.
And all fairness, Brian has never played with this WinCon. We just
I will say this much: my one-turn kill deck is a lot faster than his. This is taking forever.
This can be a lot faster.
This is taking forever.
Well, I did substitute. Keep in mind, I'm supposed to be able to do 6 a turn.
You would be dead by now.
I'm supposed to be doing 6 a turn.
Yeah, Brian, you're just slow playing.
But tell you what, we can actually just use math to end the game. I have 1 blue mana floating. I will ancestral recall again. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
The original condition to win, Peter, which is Black Vice.
3 blue mana.
Oh.
So you actually would have lost. Yeah, I mean, technically, you
Right.
would have ancestral you 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah, with 2.
Double Black Vice, it would have been over.
All right, I have 2 blue mana.
But we
floating.
wanted to be funny
Yeah.
and die to a hill.
1 blue mana. It
Hill
was actually
drop.
supposed to be something even cooler than that. No, it was supposed to be Force of Nature.
No. Well.
Which never happens on a 1-turn kill.
Right, well,
No.
it has to hit 3 times.
Yeah, it's very hard.
1 remaining blue mana, ancestral.
How many Ancestrals are we? I think I put 12 on this one.
Lotus.
I put 12. I put 7
Lotus.
Lotuses. Reduced it down to 8 Sapphires from 10.
Okay, keep in mind, I have 3 time walks, that's 9 damage. Okay, we'll just do the
Right.
math and save him the trouble of actually exercising.
9 damage.
Right.
He is a little tubby, but
Yeah.
he can probably get it done without having to do it. Okay,
Will
so
Peter have a turn today?
6 blue mana.
Yeah.
That's time walk.
So back in the day,
Time
Peter,
Walk.
had anybody ever
And Time
do this
Walk.
kind of deck before? Have you ever? Were these kind of decks like
6
this?
extra turns.
Right.
You're at
right.
17.
I didn't see
That's
many of
18
them.
more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Death.
There we go.
All right, Peter's turn.
There you go.
All right,
We
guys.
could have done it with Force of Nature, which would have been cool. We have to pay the upkeep with Black Lotus.
All right, guys.
This is
Next
the only one
video
that's
coming.
green.
Next.
You don't die.
I'll pause this
All
video.
right,
We'll
he
do
gets to
game
go
number
first,
2.
yes,
All
game
right,
number 2.
we'll pause this
Okay.
one.
All right.
All right, guys, we're back. Game 1 was extremely boring, as Peter has said, the longest hill giant beating ever. But if you guys saw Peter's hand, what was it, Peter? It was pretty.
No, I haven't even seen a card from his deck. I literally haven't seen him play anything. I have no idea what his deck
Brian,
is.
are you going to counterspell something? What are you going to do?
Well, I don't have any spells in my deck, so.
There you go.
Actually, I did see one card. I saw an unlimited time walk.
There you go.
It was in the ante. All right, the ante for game 2. Black
Ooh.
Lotus.
Yeah.
Hey.
By the way, Peter is.
Dueling Lotuses. This is like war. Do we put 3 more down and then 1 up again?
Peter has a combination of white border and alpha cards, but he now knows the rules. It has to be all alpha.
Like I said, he gets a special
Oh, yeah.
allowance.
Which
Yeah.
I don't
As a
think
guy
really
who
matters.
literally at one point had a sizable portion of the entire alpha print run in his car,
Yes.
I think that he is entitled to special privileges with this
Oh my
format.
God. So
Well, let me
okay,
show
it's
you.
like, yeah.
Peter, what was the cost of, you were saying, the Arabian Nights to print the whole thing, you were saying?
$88,000.
US dollars.
It's mind-boggling.
This is dumb.
Considerably less than a single booster.
You
box
also get a
of
draw
that
too,
set
Peter.
now.
You also get a draw.
Right. Okay.
You could buy, Daniel, for the cost of one Arabian Nights box, you could buy the entire Arabian Nights print run 3 times over.
Yeah, so here's the card. There's several of these in the deck that
your dad's
I did not put these
Your dad
cards
put,
in my deck.
All right, well, I'm curious to see it.
Yeah. Well,
But you do
maybe I'll
probably
play
have
it.
to kill me on turn 1. And you get to draw an 8th card. Did you draw an 8th card?
I did draw an 8th card. Of course,
All
you're
right.
gonna have
So
to
your
do it.
dad, so your dad put in some of the whiteboard.
Alpha
I think
Lotus.
so, right?
Yeah.
Alpha
So,
Lotus.
nice to make sure I get it. And I have to think about this. You guys are going to keep talking, I know, and try to distract me. I don't want to use all my land and
Brian's very
incorrectly.
competitive.
Wait, he has land in his deck.
Yeah. Well, land,
That's your problem. That's your problem right there.
It's land. It's just land that's been constructed as
Most important
opposed to.
thing is this,
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. Let's. Hey.
I think he could beat you first turn.
I believe you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. So I tap this. I have 3 blue.
Single.
No.
That makes 3.
No. This. Oh, I already tapped it. I took my hand off, so I'll stick with it. Let's start with that.
Oh,
See what happens.
we don't play with that.
Yeah.
You can tap another time.
Okay. Well, let's start with this. And
That seems completely reasonable.
Let's get. That's the ante though. Let's put that over here.
He wants to add 2 cards. What a
Yeah,
fair
there
deal.
you go.
If you play with Peter, you can he has to add 2
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. Do you want to add another card? We can each add
I
another card
want to
if you
remind the audience, keep in mind, Peter lost this deck for 15 years.
Yes.
Imagine how that would feel if that happened to you. Considering what's in it.
I was a little down.
Yeah.
I was a little down.
Yeah, it's lost,
I was a little down.
Brian, would you, be all seriousness, would you bet any sum of money or this deck as an ante on any 3-game match in Magic?
I'm not clear what your question is.
What I'm saying is, if you were to ante for your livelihood, would you bet on this deck, the one you're
The
playing?
one I'm playing? Or
Yes.
the one that Peter's using?
You're playing. Because based on what you know about our build.
I'm not completely clear.
What I'm saying is that
if I had to wager my entire livelihood on a Magic deck,
Right, on a Magic deck.
would I wager it on this deck?
Yes.
Well, it depends on what the other person is.
Oh, no, he would also wager his deck.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Heartbeat. Always.
Instantaneously. But I mean, this is insane degeneracy also. Now,
Peter,
there are 2 Alpha Black Lotuses.
no, there's
in
3.
play.
There's 3.
I got 2 blue mana in my mana pool.
Yes, this needs to go to the graveyard.
Yeah.
Now, Peter has new rules. If you tap it, you can reuse it. Apparently.
Well, I think just
Did people actually do that back in the
Just
day?
so I don't forget,
Okay.
I'm going to cast the Time Walk.
All right,
We have
okay.
Time Walk queued up
All right,
here,
good.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so you have 1 turn.
So now I have no mana in my mana pool,
That's
but
right.
I've got these here.
You do have double
I do
those.
have to be careful here. Like, okay, I think.
I have to say, Peter's deck is very, very similar to our deck.
Yeah, I think.
Right,
it's,
Peter?
I think it's pretty similar.
In its idea.
This is amazing, actually.
No.
The blue vice has met its match.
Well, it's no longer called. It's called Blue Jank because you put the Hill Giant and the War Mammoth. We got to call it something else. The bill.
Right.
Just call it Hill Giants.
Hill
That's the
Giants.
3/3s for 4 mana.
Yeah.
Are.
So I'll put this. I've got 3 mana. It's
called the Blue Hill
so now
Giants.
it's 2 mana.
Yes.
All right.
So
Continue
guys, we
on.
took out the 2 Black Vice for a Hill
Right.
Giant and War
Oh,
Mammoth
there we go. Yeah,
for some
we're
reason.
gonna be all right. Okay, so I got 2 mana in my mana pool. Let's get rid of another one of those. So I have 5 mana in my mana pool, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I have 1 mana in my
The
mana
Juggernaut.
pool. See,
Uh-oh.
I can think that's classy.
Respectable, yeah.
I think that's the classy. I think that's way classier than Hill Giant or Woolly Mammoths. You know,
Unfortunately, with the only-
it's a monster that's worthy of being in this deck.
I agree with you.
I really see some
Yeah,
trash
that's-
talking going
that's-
on
I mean, I
here.
think it's worthy. Now the Black Vice,
We're at the mercy of the.
The Black Vice is elegant. I give you that. But your choice of
They're quick.
creatures, this is much
This is
better.
the problem is that
Comment below, is Juggernaut more elegant according to Peter?
Yes.
well, more elegant than Hill Giant or War Mammoth.
I mean,
The problem
come on.
was is that we, like I said, we intended for it to be Force of Nature, just because it's cool.
Right,
But
right.
unfortunately, Daniel forgot to bring Force of Nature, and we had to go and draw on
You didn't
the
remind
contents
me.
of this alpha pack for my kill conditions, and it contained Water Elemental and Hill Giant and War Mammoth. And I
Okay.
decided to use the red and the green creatures because the Water Elemental was also in theme.
Right.
Probably more worthy though of the deck than the other 2. So you have 1 blue mana remaining.
Yeah, 1 blue mana
Uh-oh.
left, and then I'll have a turn. Well, let's go ahead and do that.
Yes, I agree.
'cause that's not gonna. Okay, now I'm out of mana. Oh, but I got one of these. Let's get that out
Oh, but you don't. Oh, but you're
well,
not.
I mean, I have to make sure that in my next, if I can't use this without this, because
Yes.
the next turn, if I only have 1 mana, I wouldn't have enough mana for another time stop,
Probably correct.
right?
Yeah.
So now I could use that if I wanted to.
I wonder if Richard still
Let's
does
just go
this.
ahead and,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's probably correct.
I wonder if
He
Richard
has-
has a deck too, just like this.
I don't think he does, actually.
Really?
No, I don't think he does. I've talked to him about his collection.
He doesn't really collect.
and
That's just not how he approaches his games. Richard is sort of he's a gaming dilettante at heart. He just likes to play a million different games. He plays a different game every day.
Do you concur with that, Peter?
well, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what it says about someone to build a deck like this. I really don't know.
But do you see him like do you see him as a guy who
Depends on your
basically?
reasoning.
Do you see Richard as a guy who basically collected the history
You
and,
know what I
and
think? I
nostalgic
think one
decks?
of my favorite things that Richard ever said when he was explaining Magic to me, like when we were raising money for Magic, we were talking about Magic, and he was talking about how, because sometimes somebody will say, well, Magic got so big, there's so many cards, as if that's a negative. And I always remember Richard in the very beginning saying, if my vision, Peter, is that this becomes so big, we'll have so many cards, you could be playing a game, and somebody would play a card that you've never seen before.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then you would have to pick up the card and read it and rethink about what you were doing in that game to respond to what that card could do. And so to me, that was an early statement about Magic, which was eventually realized. I mean, there's probably hardly anybody out there that knows every single card that's ever been published, right?
What's interesting actually is that there's 2 takes on that, because there's the completely foundational experience of Magic, playing with alpha or beta and having that exact experience, right? Hearing about cards in the ecosystem, but because there were no published lists online or whatever, no one knew about rarity. You would encounter cards in the wild that you had never seen before, some sort of random rare that would show up.
Yeah.
But nowadays, actually, because the game is so broad and diverse as per Richard's vision, and are you familiar with the Commander format at all?
Yes.
I was going to say, when we were talking earlier, I was going to recommend, if there is a format for you, it's that, I think. Because it embodies the ideas of creativity, role-playing, which is something that's particularly important to you, and obviously Magic itself.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of rolled into one, that people get to experience Commander in so many different ways, and there's a huge social component to it, and people play it as a social endeavor with gaming on the side. It's sort of almost like analogous to D&D, but in Commander, because it is such a broad format, and people play it. Some people play Cutthroat, some people play pet decks and theme decks, some people play budget decks, and particularly in budget formats, you'll often be playing Commander, and people will play cards against you that you've never seen before, because you've just discounted them because they aren't streamlined spiky tournament cards, and yet in the context of a budget limited format, they're very powerful, and that's a really cool experience.
Right.
All right. Another Juggernaut?
It's kind of what you said, Peter, about your.
I'm screwed. All right. So taking it down to 10. All you need is one more time walk, and it's game.
Right. What? Well,
go back to
so
you.
I'm
gonna have a turn.
in my free time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
Well, he has 2
I'm
turns.
taking my next turn.
I'm at 20.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So now it's a new turn, right?
Yep. It's a new day.
Do you get to draw again?
You, of course.
Yes. No, Peter, you do not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's make sure and we
Show me a time walk.
get the time walk out.
There it is.
Game over. All right. 1-1.
Nice job, Peter. Peter.
Worked perfectly.
So with this deck,
You had a doubt?
No
You
doubt.
could do it.
I honestly had a little.
You know what? I actually have to say this is actually a true turn 1 deck attacking mode that could consistently go. Now, what are some instances, Peter? You can't get it. Basically, is it just the mana?
Well, if you get all mana.
Yeah. No
if you can't, you could screw it up. I mean, that's what
The
had me
sequencing.
sweating.
Right.
Like you guys are talking and
Yeah, you run out of
and everything's going on.
You run out of mana and you forget to time walk.
Yeah. Put enough thought into it that you remember to do all the things that you need to do. But but it's I've never had it not winning.
Right.
You won an
Wow.
Black Lotus stuff. Good job.
And when did you design this deck originally?
In the months right after Magic came out.
Wow, guys, that is epic.
Amazing.
So what? 1990.
Last
93,
half of,
man.
Last half of '93.
Wow.
Right.
Do you guys hear this?
A legit
Wow.
93 deck from 93.
Yeah, no, I designed and collected the cards.
This is so astonishing to me.
93.
Steven would be tripping out about this because he's a real Magic historian.
Our friend
Because
Steven is a Magic.
I've been saying this to people, and we actually said this in our teaser videos about this deck. That at that point in that hotel room in Gothenburg, But that was the very first time that a deck like this had ever truly been assembled, particularly using alpha cards. That was my impression.
yeah,
Certainly my belief.
Yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
Peter's had
I think
this
Peter
in
was
his
the guy,
back
yeah.
pocket for the last 26 years.
Because well, Peter, you're basically leveraging all of the blue cards.
And like I said, like,
right?
I think. Well, I remember Dad said there were some cards missing, and he refilled it.
So all the white-
Why they're
so
not,
all the
that's
white.
why they're not all black border.
That's where the
cards.
white border cards
I
come
wouldn't have paid a difference.
Dad had some bills to pay.
I wonder we change.
It's like, oh, I needed to downgrade your Alpha Lotus
Yeah,
to an
I never had
unlimited one.
Saudi
Sorry.
blasts. in
Yeah, why
there.
would it be in there?
No, I had all the damages from
Yeah,
Degenerate.
there's some chaff in there, but it's-
but it's
All right, give me.
All right, guys,
let's
I'll
go to
pause
game
this
3.
video for game 3. Hold on, hold on.
What was the
It's
original
supposed to
Magic?
be a match.
All right, guys, we're
It's a
back.
match,
So
and
what are we at? What are we deciding for game
It's
3?
game
Come on.
3.
He's
I lost.
He's giving me the play because I
Yeah.
lost game.
Yeah, that's the
game 2.
rules.
All right.
Okay,
Sure.
let's do it.
I'm not gonna complain.
Right.
All right.
I didn't know we were playing
Did-
third game. I got
did you
I
cut
got
me already?
shuffle a little bit though.
Peter's
No.
deck actually can win.
Can win it, dude.
Yeah.
We're not making first turn.
Yeah.
No.
Like Daniel, on
we-
the degeneracy spectrum, it is near the top.
No, it's top tier degenerate.
It's got some problems. but it's-
Peter,
it's-
we were trying to rank degeneracy levels.
Oh my god! I look at that answer.
No, that's horrible.
My other win condition.
Peter, we're actually trying to evaluate degeneracy levels, and believe it or
For
not,
people watching at home, this sort of situation
Yeah.
is why we didn't actually play for
it's
anti.
a horrible
back then.
deal.
Okay, so you're trying to evaluate degeneracy.
Yeah, what happened was we try to figure out, you know how there's tier 1 decks and there's
Yeah.
power 9 decks,
Yeah.
but we realized that there's like the Thanos level, the Infinity Gauntlet level. No, seriously, there's what you created, Peter.
Okay. Yeah.
Your 93 deck was the Thanos deck.
Of its era.
Absolutely. Because no one has ever seen that we thought.
Well, now that you mention it, I don't know anybody that had. I mean, but people talked about decks like this all the time.
They talked about
They
it.
talked about it.
But visually, they
But
never
you're
saw
right,
it.
I never
The
saw
deck
it.
that I had heard about, apparently, I remember hearing, this is probably around 95, 96, somewhere at the point when the game had already exploded and the cards from the original print runs were very rare. They weren't worth thousands of dollars yet, but they were very rare. And there was a tournament that was basically come with whatever you want.
Right.
And it was 40 card minimum, and some guy showed up, and his deck was basically just 2 cards. It was more than 40 cards. It was like 40, 52 or 55 or something, whatever number he decided was right. He had written a computer algorithm and run countless simulations for the exact ratio of these 2 cards, which were Black Lotus and Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
And the card had 1 copy of the card Feldon's Cane.
Okay.
And so his entire deck was just wheels.
Feldon's Cane wasn't alpha.
It
Antiquities.
wasn't alpha.
Antiquities.
It was up to that point. You could play with cards from Antiquities if you wanted.
Okay, got
And
it.
probably
Right,
revised or
right,
whatever,
right,
you know, etc.
right.
The point was is that why would you if you had access to everything? Because there's nothing in revised that's not also in alpha, and alpha has all the insane stuff. Anyway, he had 1 copy of Feldon's Cane in case someone else was playing a big deck.
Right.
But he would just go wheel, and it would be decked on turn 1. That's the entire deck was just that. And apparently that was a real deck, but my suspicion is that it was mostly unlimited Black Lotuses.
Right.
Because who had alpha and beta ones, right? They were just too rare.
Yeah.
Without the internet and the ability to go and draw them from the larger population, there was no way to get that many alpha and beta lotuses in one place.
All right, you guys shuffle? Peter, you draw your 7? Okay, let's take a look.
So anyway, that deck was just a rumor, and I never actually saw any evidence that it actually existed.
So Peter, back in the day, was Alpha Lotus, was Black Lotus even popular compared to other cards?
Yeah, it was pretty quickly. Yeah, I think it was very rapidly determined. I mean, certainly there were people in R&D that knew. Like, I remember Scaff coming in to the office even when we were before Magic was really being printed.
Yeah, that's Scaffoldus.
In the last seconds, really. And he was like, "Man, we gotta fix this. We got cards on this sheet. We can't have that card. We can't." And of course, he's pointing to Black Lotuses and various
monsters and
things
accessory
powered on.
Yeah, of course.
Says these cards are broken. They're just broken. The game's broken. And
I can totally hear Steph saying that.
And I'm like,
it's a little late.
We're not changing. And I think so.
But you realize if Scaff had gone his way, as brilliant as he is, and as often like for example, Scaff is actually credited as being the architect of the Pro Tour. That's his main thing that he's known for. That he was the guy that came up with the idea of Pro Tour.
Yeah.
So Scaff is often unimpeachable as far as a person with good ideas.
Right.
But if he had done that, if he had gotten his way, I think Magic is really different. Honestly.
No, I think it's really good. It worked out the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it worked out.
We
the way
certainly
it is.
arrived at a
It's
good place, right?
Yes, it's fantastic. It worked out the way it is, and I agree. See,
All right, Brian, you're up.
Yeah.
We've had actually a lengthy discussion about the subject of the reserve list and the promise of the players and what it represents and so on.
Right.
And we had a 2+ hour long debate that he filmed when we were in Europe about this.
Yeah.
And one of my fundamental arguments was that the mystique and majesty of these cards is one of the most important foundational things in Magic.
I agree.
And it's preserved by the reserve.
Yeah, we all
Wait,
know that.
you
little camera,
Peter,
Steve,
wait,
you hear that?
Do you agree with that?
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah,
Peter,
we
you
know
agree with
that.
that? Thank
that.
God.
Hell yeah.
I agree.
So if you reprinted
I
it,
also agree with what you said about SCAP. I'll
There you
even say
go.
it's stronger. The 10 years I was at Wizard of the Coast running Magic the Gathering
Yeah.
and D&D and everything, I never made a strategic move in the company without consulting SCAP.
Yeah,
He was
absolutely
the most brilliant strategist, not just a great designer and developer, but somebody who thought about the whole business, which you usually don't find within the ranks of game designers.
That many-
Somebody who thinks
that
about
diverse
marketing,
skills.
thinks about sales. I would talk to him about distribution, channel strategy, you name it, the topic. SCAP was the first person I would go to talk about strategy in the company. It's great.
Awesome. All right, let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Sapphire.
Yeah.
I think this game is.
Sapphire. Sapphire.
Peter needed. Peter, you needed Brian to draw nothing really.
It's very hard for this deck to draw
Yeah,
nothing. We haven't
that's-
run any actual simulations of it, but it is.
Yeah, drawing a mana.
It's pretty unbeatable as you've seen. Ancestral Recall again.
Well, it's interesting to come across two decks that really just will win. So it's almost like part luck who will win the.
Imagine if we were to combine
The roll.
forces. Double Lotus and 2 more Sapphires.
If we combine forces,
You got to give him a Brian. You got to give him a
The
turn.
resultant desk would be.
It has arrived.
strictly
Give him a
work.
turn. Give him a turn.
I can't.
No, you gotta
I
play it
can't.
fair.
No.
man.
3
You gotta play
green
it fair.
mana.
You don't give someone a break. There's no
There's no breaks in
There's no
Magic.
crying in baseball. I mean, come on.
All right. 4 mana total. Time Walk and Time Walk.
So
Okay,
when you were sharing
I
people,
like your way of laying those by the side.
Peter,
Yeah,
when you at Gen Con the first 1993 when they were playing Magic, what was the response showing them how to play? What was
Showing
kinda-
people how to play Magic?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so I mean, there was a period. Okay, I'm at 17 again.
Yeah.
I mean, early Magic, yes, it's great and came out and became a big deal. All sort of wonderful, right? But there was a period for about a year and a half or so where there were a lot of people that had never heard of Magic, and within the game, of course, outside of the game.
of course.
But I mean, and so there were lots of long hours at your booth at some convention somewhere demoing Magic. People coming by and like, what is this? But I'll tell you, the thing that always brought them in was the artwork.
Wow.
Because
Did you
there
have it
wasn't.
on display? Did you actually have pieces
You
on
just
display?
walk by and
Oh,
you
it's
see
just the
all
cards,
these
yeah.
cards with fantasy art
Yeah, they
in
look so
color.
gorgeous too,
And
yeah.
if you go back, you take yourself back to 1992, if you're old enough to take yourself back to 1992, 93, there wasn't as much fantasy art as what you really wanted to see. I mean, you would see the TSR books would have fantasy art in color.
Yeah.
You'd see novels at the bookstore. You'd see a Hildrink calendar or whatever. I mean,
Why do you think
but
that is?
well, there just wasn't as much products that were selling big enough to have a wide range of products that were selling in color. I mean, color printing was more expensive and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? Most RPG books mostly were interior, were black and white, right? And RPGs were a small market. Novels were a small market. It's just that whole interest in fantasy as a genre was still growing, right? And so, if you liked fantasy art, you would remember every piece. TSR would come out with a new adventure module, and you would remember that piece of art.
Yeah, that was on the
And
cover of the module
you knew
for
who
D&D.
the artist was,
Yeah.
because you were only seeing a handful of new art. And so when you came out with Magic, I think one of my theories that really helped, I think it would have been successful no matter what the art would have been at some level, because it's such a great game. But the power of how that art drew people in and would take a look at this because they see a whole table full of beautiful fantasy art,
Yeah.
and go, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, this is for me.
Definitely this War Mammoth.
Even outside of the game, just the art alone is enough to
The
captivate me.
art was, and I liked the style. I mean, there are some crappy pieces. Let's be honest.
Yeah. you had to make do with what you had, right?
What are you
Like,
talking
what you
about?
had.
I mean, most of the parts
We won't disparage any.
You don't like-
artists, but
You don't like
most of the
healing
art was
salve?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I liked that how in the early Magic days. Let's take this card for example. You look at it clear across the table. You know what it is. It's a woolly mammoth. You know what that is. It's a mox. You can kind of see it. And Hill Giant's really obvious. It was very iconic. The early art was. I think sometimes fantasy art can get really busy
I
And
feel
you look at a piece of art and it's very polished, it's very beautiful, it's very
But what is
well
it? Yeah,
designed.
exactly.
But your eye doesn't know where to go.
That-
you don't
to me,
know
that's-
what the purpose of what the art is really trying to convey.
Totally.
It's just a
to me,
montage
that's
of
a
color.
complete, perfect explanation of the way that modern magic artwork looks like.
Said very well.
I,
Very
so
nice.
I
totally agree
like
with you.
I like old style. Some of the art, some of the pieces of art are a little bit pedestrian or whatever, but I liked. I think Jesper deserves a tremendous amount of credit for wanting the pieces to be recognizable across the table with a clear image of this is what that art is.
And they also Jesper gave a lot of freedom to the artist, which is huge.
Also, was there anyone's particular idea about putting flavor text on the cards? Because that was something that was really.
It was somebody's
impactful to
idea,
me.
but I don't remember. I want to credit Richard with that,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not sure if it was Richard. But it was part of the concept from very, very early, and it might. I don't know. I'm just speculating. It might go back to the fact that Richard's original playtest cards, where to playtest it, of course, he was borrowing art from the public, comic strip art, whatever. And so it might be that the flavor text kind of took the place of some of the extra character that you could get by using a piece of art like this Spock, doing this or
Right,
whatever,
exactly.
right?
Very, very cool.
All right, back to the degeneracy.
Yes, back to the degeneracy. Okay, so I'm on.
Very good, Peter. That was awesome.
I just attacked. For
I got to say, I completely agree with you also. The art is what drew me in. And people often, like when Brian and I go to a place of magic, they always stop instantly. They're just drawn towards the colors and the art.
Yeah.
And the new cards, you're right. While it's beautiful, busy, the old cards, you're like, wow, it's so clear what it's doing. And it's fun.
All right. And Mammoth is going to stroll over.
What are we
for
at,
number
17? Is it
All right,
16?
he's at 14.
14.
Cast another ancestor recall. There's still two.
So
Yep.
basically, Brian's new build is the Hill Giant and War Mammoth to be extra janky. Any memorable?
Strategic considerations are
Yeah,
important.
I would go back to the black and white. That's a good
You like that one? Yeah.
I think that's really good.
Peter, it's a lot faster, don't you
That
think?
is- well, no, you got to play through a
Yeah.
deck far long enough for the other person to draw 20 plus cards.
But Black
right?
Vice is a lot more efficient.
It's
It's
faster
just
than
fast,
Ancestrals.
Yeah. But it's that's an elegant spin on this.
Yeah.
It's-
He wanted it to be
I
more a
like-
little
I
bit
like
clear.
that idea. That's a fun idea.
Yeah, turning the ancestral recalls into a weapon because they're basically making them into damage dealing sources.
Right,
It's
right.
quite elegant.
Did you feel the same way in '93 to use Ancestral Recall, Time Twister, Time Walk, all those cards? Is that what
to
got
me,
you going?
To me, my mind, I never thought about putting Black Vice in it. My mind was all around taking more turns. How do you get more cards? with
So
more
Time
turns?
Walk was the.
and then put the Juggernauts out there to do damage, right?
Yeah, super effective.
That's,
It's so interesting,
Because
yeah.
Juggernauts are one of the
The
coolest
idea
pieces
of using
ever.
black vices
That's-
as the kill condition was Daniel's.
Yeah, that's
His
great.
original version of it. In the prototype that he built of this deck, I'm not going to kill myself. That's the last ancestor.
Was this
recall.
also Richard's? Richard's also feeling was. Did he when he created this game? Did he imagine this type of board state, or was it?
No, I think.
Okay.
I think that
Yeah.
I just
Three
totally
words.
speculating. I think that
Time Walk?
that imagining this sort of board state was an imagination in we made a big design decision, but boy, we're making a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's fun.
So that's
And
okay.
it's fun too. It's fun. That's
And
the
I
thing.
think that's the.
It's fun.
I think that's the angle that we. I don't think Scaff or Richard.
I twist her, by the way, with one blue mana flip.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that we ever that anybody thought of it that way. That like, okay, the game will be degenerate through a period, and then we'll fix it, and then years later we'll all look back and say, "Wow, it was really cool because of that."
$1,000 damage. You're
These are
jumping.
like bullet.
Brian, by the way, has a natural snapping technique because he plays Magic a lot. He just makes noise, but they're all upside down. What are you doing? What are you doing?
wasn't
That's why I was looking at you like, what are you?
All right, yes, my card's
Nice.
You
gotta watch these pro.
You gotta watch. I know. He's stacking his
I
deck.
think I may already have lethal and play with my mammoth though, because I
I
do have
yeah.
5 turns.
Well, I think the War Mammoth's gonna
Yeah,
do the
I
job.
think
we can
It's
stack,
all about time
we
walk.
can stack time walk to infinity.
Yeah,
at
5
this
times
point.
3 is
Yeah.
15.
Yeah.
There's
I think there's
math.
6 of them.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
You're
Oh.
There's some ancestral symbols. Look at this.
I think we're good. So this is why
So I am so thankful.
this is why
that
Black
you
Vice
went
is the
first.
winner. This is why Black Vice. Show him.
Yes.
That's why Black Vice is the winner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's-
You twist her once with 2 vices.
All right.
Okay,
Let's call it a game.
I have a confession to make.
Sure.
If I'd have got first, I wouldn't have won.
You wouldn't have won.
What?
Oh. It's 'cause
Wait,
you-
what?
It's
Say it
because
again,
it's-
what?
You can blame your dad.
Oh,
I had-
really?
Dad's fault.
It was.
It's a handful of side blasts, yeah.
I had
Oh,
three side blasts
so your
and
first
nothing
turn, that one would have been took some damage, but it would have
I
won.
would
The
would
key
not,
is
yeah.
Time Walk Ancestral.
Yeah, I got to get rid of those sonic blasts.
All right.
If only I knew somebody that had magic cards. I could-
All right, Brian, you're still the champion of this one, guys. We're gonna do some more videos, some more Q&A with Richard. Congratulations! Hold that real quick, guys. Give me a smile. Hold that. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.